Congratulations if you have successfully completed the project, or even if you stopped halfway through. Don't lose morale if you can't finish it by yourself, as you have gained your first-hand experience of a job scenario. Let's continue with the solution. So the initial app looks like this amazing blank page. Well, the first thing I'm gonna do over here is add an app bar. Inside the app bar, I am going to put a title and name it Launchpad. Now let's go to Style and change the fonts. I am going to use a package called Google Fonts, which I have already imported into this project. So don't need to worry too much. You just need to put a dot and select your favorite font. I want to choose Orbitron as it's really stylish. Now let's change the background of the app bar to black. Let me reload the application, and you can see that the upper part of the app is already done. It took us only a few seconds. I also want to change the background color of the scaffold to give it a seamless look. And let me reload it. Perfect. Now we are going to make the first button. As you remember, we always have to break down the big problems, which in our case is the total app, into small separate ones. That's why we're starting with one button. For this particular button, I am going to make a stateful widget and call it again and again till we make all the buttons. And a small tip. You should not use the functions instead of the stateful widget, as there would be an issue. You can try to figure out what issue I am talking about by yourself later on. Let's start then. Firstly, I am gonna replace this container widget with a wrap widget, which obviously accepts a list of children. We had to do it because later we will call the stateful widgets from here. Now I am gonna create the stateful widget and name it Pad with an uppercase P. In the stateful widget, we need to put the center color, the exterior color, and the name of the sound file. Let's start by declaring the variables. Let's name the first variable color center, the second one color outline, and then write note. Alrighty, let's go ahead and remove the const. In the next line, we are going to accept the values from the respective lines where the class will be called. So I'm gonna write this dot and type the variable names we've written above to store values inside them. Now at this point, we are going to create another set of variables for the colors. I am going to write late here because we are going to initialize them later in the code. I am going to start the variable names with an underscore that declares that the variables are private. This means that these variables can only be used and manipulated inside the current class, and it's a good security measure which we can take. Remember, the variables we declared before and the ones we declared just now are different. Let's go ahead and declare the audio player class with a final variable called player. I would also like to put the colors from above inside the underscored variables. To do that, they have to be inside a function. So we are gonna use the init function. Cool, it created a boilerplate for us. You should know that in the life cycle of a stateful widget, there are 3 parts. Those are the init function, which is executed at first, followed by the widget build, and finally by the dispose function. Since we want to use the underscored variables with values inside the build method, we have to initialize them inside the init function. So, let's write the name of the first variable followed by equals, and in order to access these variables, that is, the ones without the underscore from the top, we need to type widget dot followed by the variable name. Let's do the same for the color outline. Once we're done over here, we can focus on customizing the container widget. Firstly, let's make it 100 high and 100 wide. Then, why not tap into the decoration property? It accepts box decoration. Inside it, I'm going to put the gradient property. Now, when we start writing gradient over here, you can see that there are lots of types of gradients like the linear gradient, the sweep gradient, the canvas gradient, and so on. I'm gonna choose the radial gradient this time. And inside the color property, it accepts a list of colors. First, we are going to write the center color here, and then the outline color. Make sure you observe the order in which I am giving the colors. Now, in order to see our progress, let's move a bit to the top.